Hi, my name's Peter. This week, I really wanted to talk about playtesting. And in this video diary, my current biggest single project is Navigator RPG, which I think I've mentioned before. This is the hardback proof. This was the first proof. There's another one stuck in the post somewhere. Um, so this game is really, really new. It was released at the very end of April, beginning of May, and it is probably the game that half of these future uh, video diaries, at least for the next few months, will focus upon. Um, Now, this game was. Sorry, one second. This game was in playtest from September last year through to end of April, early May this year, so 8 months. Uh, Now, if you look now, it starts here every few days. Then there was a sort of hiatus for a little while. Um, so I was putting the game out, getting some feedback. People were spotting immediate problems, fixing them, more feedback. And then between September and November, uh, we had something which people could play. There were so that's just a zip file. That's when the character sheets were introduced. So it went from being just a PDF to a bunch of files. Um, then, so that was late November. A couple of updates. An update in October, and then the main playtest took place. Then we got revisions in February, March, and then we're pretty close. And then we've got the uh, first proofs were prepared, and then some final changes 10th, 11th, 12th of May, so right up until yesterday. Now, these are slightly different. Um, when the game was released, the number of people playing it exploded. People started to pick up the odd typos, things which wording which made perfect sense to me because I wrote it, and to the playtesters because they were familiar with it. The wording of some things wasn't clear enough, so uh, we gathered up some errata and we've been doing daily releases since. The pod files are offline; no one can buy them. We think we've got all of the little snags now, so we will order new proofs. Um, just to make me feel better, Castles and Crusades was released 16 years ago. It's in its seventh printing now, seventh edition, over 16 years, and they are still finding errata now. Just last week, someone was using an adventurer's backpack, one of their supplements, which had pre laid out equipment lists to speed up character creation. And several of the things that were in these pre-created lists don't actually exist in the equipment list to buy. There were no prices, no weights. So probably no one's ever really worried about it before. 50% of GMs probably don't really care about the cost or the weight of whether it's a quart water skin or a gallon water skin. That's not the adventuring part of the game. But other game masters do like the details in different groups, different ways of playing, different groups. So, although I think we've got a lot of the uh, problems in the book, I'm not kidding myself that we've got them all. There will be problems in there for years. Um, so, playtesting and getting playtesters is, I think, probably the hardest single task for a small games producer. Um, when you get a good playtester, look after them because they are worth their weight in gold. Um, I'll just start this in the background a second. Right now, with the number of cons that have gone online, like Gary Con and Con of Champions, Con of Champions is something you really should support, by the way. Uh, it has never been easier to get your game in front of people. You know, write your you've got your game written, write an adventure which really shows off what the game's all about, and then run it for as many people as you possibly can and get their feedback. People that don't know you, don't know your game, haven't been involved in it, just get them all in. These virtual cons, you can run them on Fantasy Grounds, Roll20, Astral. Most of them would welcome someone else running a game. There's no limit to how many tables there are in a virtual con. Make real use of these virtual cons while we've got them. When you get a playtester, I'm always on Discord. People can talk to me directly. We can try things out. It's a great feedback. Others, this feedback here, they literally went through page after page after page. This is early on, hasten to say. 14 pages here of questions about clarity. Some of it is just typing where it just says unclear. What should it be? It's all lined through as I resolved each thing. I made sure I knew what I'd done and what I hadn't done. I want to show you a few iterations of the game. So this is the latest one. Now, notice the cover here. Oh, while we're here, interior art. Now, the first game I showed you, hundreds of artists, loads of different styles, a bit of a dog's dinner in the arts department. Devil's Staircase had very few artists. I think it was me, and the art from the Mule Skinners. This game has quite a few artists listed, but you will see there is a huge amount of art in it. And part of the art direction was finding art that worked well together, art all in the same style. There are more artists, nowhere near like 3 Deep, but there are quite a few here. Now, if you look at this cover, the earliest playtest cover looked like that. Now, as it went through iterations, it started to change a little bit. And in this one, I believe, we've gained a tagline, which survived all the way to the end. The font didn't, but let me get that right. So this is the earliest public release. Now, what I hope you'll agree with is that although it was one of the earliest releases, it is more than just a basic draft document. It's at this point is already a fair size. It's 104 pages. Now these big blocks are where I'm expecting art to go, and I go right back here. Can you see there is 3 artists listed? So you got one piece of art there. We've already got one in here, but there's an awful lot of places where it still needs to go. Moving on, this version is growing to 124 pages. Now, this piece of art was in right from the start. I saw this piece of art and I thought, I want that in there. This some of the game was written to make this situation, happen, to justify that piece of art, which is probably the wrong way around to do things. But um, you, just look at the 1 on the 12 there. Uh, you'll see that later. Um, so by now we're up to 124 pages. This is in the middle of the playtesting. As I flick through, we've still got big placeholders, but now if I can find that same page, it's around 70. Here we go. Uh, the combat tables, we've got different fonts and things here. They're small tables that lost on the page. By the time you get to the newer tables, we've got this wraparound art, and yeah, fine that there's not a huge amount of information on the page, but I don't think that's a bad thing. But there's the art, I think, inspires people. It tells them what sort of game, how does the game designer see the universe. Going right back to the beginning, the first 3 chapters. So this is just prior to release. This is in the middle of the playtest. This is the released version. So when we get to chapter 1, or the introduction, you see this. We got 3.5 pages there. We're nearly using all of the page. Up here, those first, the most basic cover. That, well, we say half a page missing there. A lot of text wasn't in here. Big gaps. I left loads of space so I could put in more content, resolve problems, answer questions, explain things more. Midway through, we gained the strapline, and the font has started to change. We were missing art. This isn't 4 pages. That's certainly smaller, but we've got the art's coming in. Still big, wide open spaces. Later on, again, so we've got the art now. We've got the line art has appeared, where we were not quite. So in this one, that page is up there. Because of the content that's gone ahead of it, we're now most of the way down the first column. The game is getting bigger. I even felt like putting Tinkerbell on there. So everything, I left room for the great game to grow. Now, something else which struck me in it was Castles and Crusades. In the player's handbook, you get to page 146. You find a female character in the illustrations that wasn't either inappropriately addressed for adventuring or was in a subservient role, being rescued, being carried, wounded, or being a serving wench. With the art selection in this game, I tried to find empowered females. Now, I'm still using mostly public domain art and bought stock art. But you don't have to go with the um, you most of the public domain sort of photorealistic art there is very kind of scantily clad females. It's kind of a lot of poser art. um, it takes a while to find the right pieces. Now this picture here, I think this is a female. I'm looking at those fingernails, they look a bit too clean and manicured, and the hands probably too small. I I don't know what gender that is, but I suspect it is female. Um, Nearly all the art in here is, I think, inspirational or aspirational. Even the character on the front, she is. Yes, it's a skin tight suit, but she's got the samurai sword there. She's got the throwing knives. She's got the cool tech. She is. She's an adventurer. Um, so yeah, you can see the progression through the different versions here, uh, and I hope you can see how the game's evolved. The game is freshly released. When I get onto things like marketing and things, I will talk to you about what I've done, what worked, what hasn't worked. Um, this game is pay what you want. If you want to pick it up and have a look yourself, then you're welcome. And thank you.